What is up, everyone? OG over here from Player Essence, and welcome to News Essence. Today, we've got 3 big topics for you guys, and of course, my discussion on each one of them. I just want to have a reminder for all of you guys watching that News Essence goes down Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. PT, that is 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And then we also have another News Essence at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, that is 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., 6 p.m. Make sure you look up your times if you're in Europe, and I'll also have my European dudes also give people information in the comment section as well. So just look forward to that, guys, Monday through Friday. Want to make sure you guys know the time and the schedule when we have News Essence, which is the best articles and topics for the day. So it's going to be a lot of fun right here on Player Essence. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the first topic here. So apparently there's going to be a Pokemon localization for the Nintendo Switch going down this year, which kind of insinuates that Pokemon will be releasing in 2018. We've got some information. Shout outs to, I think it's Pixel Par on Twitter, and here is what he had to say on the matter. Initial European translations for Pokemon Switch are planned to be completed between April through June. It will undergo localization editing. Editors are being hired on a minimum of 6 months contract. So the fact that Nintendo is hiring localization with the minimum of a 6-month contract kind of looks to me like they could be releasing Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch this year. Now, I want to talk about this because how feasible is it for Pokemon to come out in 2018? Well, it's very feasible based on the information that we already know. So last year at E3, the Pokemon director said that, hey, we can have the game out maybe in about a year or year and a half till you'll see it. Not necessarily till it releases, but till you'll see it. So the fact that he's saying year and a half, that puts it, if you look at it, June, that's when E3 is held, and year and a half, it could launch in the fall of 2018. So that's just something that's out there, guys. I want to let you guys know, because some people think that Pokemon has no shot at coming out in 2018, and I don't understand why people think that it has no shot of coming out in 2018. And if you put in this information here, when it comes to, I guess you can call it as a rumor, but if you look at as far as the localization editors, what that means is that pretty much the game is wrapped up, because when you have to localize something, that means everything is done. All the text is done. The whole script is done for it. You've put in the final boss battles and what they're saying there and what all the characters are doing. So then you hire in the people in order to translate it into all the different languages. Now, what we do know with Pokemon is that they're really big on worldwide launches. Some people might be thinking, okay, well, how about if they do like it launches in Japan at the end of this year and then everywhere else in the following year? But that's something that the Pokemon company hasn't really done in a while. Pretty much since Pokemon X and Y, they've been doing global, worldwide launches for things. So I don't think they're going to split things up. And if you look at what he has to say here, he says that they have like European editors that are coming in. I think they even talked about Spanish ones as well in terms of the localization. So I do feel, based on this information here, based on what they've already said about that, and based on how Nintendo wants to move 20 million consoles for the fiscal year, which starts, I think, in March. Yeah, March all the way to March of next year. I think they're going to have a big game, and there's probably no bigger console seller out there than Pokemon. I'm not sure if there's another bigger console seller in terms of exclusive, okay, because like Grand Theft Auto, that obviously sells consoles, but that's on multiple different platforms. There's other games that sell consoles big time, but Pokemon might be the biggest system seller out there. I think that Pokemon would be that catalyst. Now, there's going to be other games. I don't think it's just going to be Pokemon. Obviously, we have Fire Emblem in 2018. We're looking at some other titles as well. There's some third-party support that could potentially coming this year, but I do feel that Pokemon is going to be that main holiday title that's really going to push things when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. And another reason why I think that Pokemon could be coming in 2018, outside of what we already know, is the fact that the Pokemon company really wants to make sure that they get this holiday. They hit each year. Because if you look at it, the Pokemon company by itself, just excluding Nintendo, is one of the richest companies out there. Now, this would be the 3rd straight year in a row that they have a big release for the fall, right? Because they had Pokemon Sun and Moon in 2016. They had Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon in 2017. And now they're going to have Pokemon, this one right here, in 2018. That would be 3 years in a row with huge profits. And I think that that's what they want to do. They want to make sure that they can get that game out in the holiday season and get those profits. Now, it doesn't matter when this game launches, right? It can launch in January and it'll be huge. It can launch in February and it'll be huge. But there are some people, especially with the audience that Pokemon goes for, because a lot of older adults play Pokemon too. So a lot of kids play Pokemon. A lot of kids always don't have money to buy games. And Christmas is the best time for them. The Black Friday, the shopping season is the best time. So I don't think they're going to want to miss that. And I don't think they're going to hold it all the way till until 2019. So to me, I think they're going to really try to bust it to get it out in 2018. If they can't, then it can't, but I think that they're really going to try to hit that date just so they can have 3 years of explosive sales when it comes to it, so they can get that holiday market. I think for Pokemon, the holiday market is very important, considering they are a toy company, they do cards, they do lots of stuff, and they specifically market towards 10-year-olds, towards 11-year-olds. That's their main target that they focus on. They know that older people are going to buy it, but that's what they focus on, and kids that age can't always buy stuff year round like adults. So I do feel that it's going to be very important for them to get it out in 2018, but those are just my thoughts on the matter. What do you guys think about this article here when it comes to Pokemon? Do you still feel it's coming 2018 with the localization? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving into the next article here, we do have a little bit more of a follow-up on Eurogamer's report that Metroid Prime 4 is being developed by Bandai Namco. Now, we did hear about it first from Doc Trey 81. Make sure you guys go check out his channel, how he kind of found out about the whole LinkedIn profile with someone that was working at Bandai Namco's Singapore studio that was working on the Metroid game, Metroid Prime 4. But now we're hearing, according to Eurogamer, that yes, it was indeed at Bandai Namco Studios Singapore, but it's being moved over to Bandai Namco Japan in order for them to take care of the rest of the game. So it seems like Bandai Namco Singapore could have been doing some tech, could have been doing some world building, could have been doing something for them before it was passed off in order to Bandai Namco Japan for maybe closer relationship with Nintendo, more people that can come in, joint development, whatever it is. And you know what? After looking at this and seeing the full article, make sure you check out the links in the description below. You guys will find all the articles there. I do feel that that's probably what's happening here, because I was thinking about it and I was like, well, how big is Bandai Namco Singapore? Okay, well, Bandai Namco Singapore probably isn't bigger than any of their main studios that they have back in the office in Japan. Obviously, it's not as big as any of those studios. It's in Singapore. It's not in Japan. So I do feel that the Singapore guys were probably working on tech, because they did the Star Wars 1313. They've done the sci-fi atmosphere. They've done those things and they've done it very well. So I'm pretty sure they were building some type of tech for this game in order for Bandai Namco to use and to take advantage of, and of course Nintendo, and then ship that back over to Bandai Namco Japan, where they actually have the muscle for it. Because Bandai Namco Japan, they have huge teams that are able to get big games like this done. Now, they've done this before, guys. We've seen it. Smash Brothers for Wii U, that game was done by Bandai Namco. They have a lot of different developers there, and they can get the job done. I honestly feel that they can. Now, some people are thinking, okay, well, hold up. Now you're saying over here in Singapore, now you're saying over here in Japan, but that's somewhat common sometimes in order for multiple different studios to work on certain parts of a game. And it's actually becoming more common with some of these bigger games out there. If you remember, the Assassin's Creed team has actually done that a number of times. And on top of that, Nintendo actually does that as well. We have, for example, Monolith Soft. Monolith Soft had a ton of staffers actually work on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, certain parts of the game or a certain aspect of the game, then report back to Nintendo, you know, and the rest of the staff was actually working on Xenoblade Chronicles 2. They have about 100 staffers or so, and like 60 or so of them were working on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, while the rest were actually working on Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and got that game done. So we've seen it before, even with Nintendo's internal studios, having different developers work on certain parts. Mario Kart 7 is another example of that. That was actually done a little bit by Retro Studios. They did some of the parts of that game as well. So that's something that Nintendo has been doing, and I'm probably sure that they implemented that into this one here. It's a common tactic that a lot of different developers use when you're talking about a large-scale game. You have some developers that you can kind of offload the task to in order to speed up development in certain places. So it seems like Bandai Namco Singapore could have been doing that with this game here. Now, what do I think when it comes to Metroid Prime 4 and if it's launching this year and all of that stuff? Because there's been a lot of debate about this. Can Metroid Prime 4 and also Pokemon launch in 2018? And I'm thinking, well, why not? Nintendo launched The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and Super Mario Odyssey in the same year. Why can't they launch Metroid Prime 4 and also Pokemon Switch in 2018? I'm trying to sit here and saying that it's 2018 for sure. I'm just saying that I'm not going to rule it out at this point. Something that we've seen before, right? Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Nobody thought that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 would launch in 2017 when Nintendo said it would, but it did. But it ended up launching in 2017. So could they get it out in this year? Absolutely, they can get it out in this year. Will they get that out? We'll have to wait and see on that one. I'm actually leaning towards yes, they are, with the fall lineup being a 1-2-3 punch of Fire Emblem, Metroid Prime 4, and also Pokemon Switch. But like I said, I could be wrong on that one. We do know that Fire Emblem is going to be launching this year according to Nintendo, but we'll have to just wait and see how things like that turn out. So I'm more on board of what Eurogamer is saying, but you have to remember here, guys, it is a rumor. It is not 100% confirmed fact at this point. We'll just have to wait and see. But considering Eurogamer's track record when it comes to these things, and heck, even Doc Trey's track record when it comes to what he has to report on, I'm pretty sure this one is correct what they're saying here. I'm not seeing too many people trying to dispute this one. So what do you guys think about Metroid Prime 4 being shifted over a little bit here? Do you guys think it's going to launch in 2018 or will it be a 2019 title? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. On to our last article here. I want to talk about a video game article that was written on VG Culture headquarters. Shout outs to the dudes over there, really cool cats. I've been talking to them, and I wanted to talk a little bit about an article that they recently wrote. So make sure you guys check out the full article. I'll have a link to that in the description below as well, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be sharing some of my stuff too. So VG Culture wrote this very interesting article, and the article talked about how Nintendo has proven that video game power or the console power does not matter anymore because of the success of the Nintendo Switch. And I wanted to get into some of his main points that he had and kind of layer in my own thoughts on that, because while I do agree to an extent, I do want to talk about this a little bit more, because that's kind of the big talk when it comes to Nintendo Switch. Is it powerful enough to do this? Is it powerful enough to do that? So some of his main points were that innovation attracts the third-party developers, and he talked about how the handheld gaming device, it's a hybrid type of nature, so developers can kind of really fit their games into it if it makes sense. He also talked about Nintendo software, how that's really good and how that's pretty much been like the equalizer or the main driving point. And then he also talked about how power doesn't equal sales, and he's talked about how, you know, they've sold this many units and there's different things going on there, and all of that is correct. I mean, all of that is correct. He also talked about the Nintendo Switch being the future as well in terms of hybrid systems, and this is something that I've echoed just a little bit when it comes to my own thoughts with the Nintendo Switch and going forward in the future. I honestly feel that, yes, I think power does matter. So I'm not going to sit here and say power doesn't matter, because the Nintendo Switch obviously has enough power to run certain games, or it has the architecture to run those games. So I think it's a combination of power and the architecture. Now, do you need, in terms of the Nintendo Switch, do you need to be as powerful as PS4 and Xbox One to be successful? No, you don't need to be as powerful as PS4 and Xbox One to be successful. Obviously, that is fact at this point, because the Nintendo Switch is very successful and the Nintendo 3DS has been very successful in the same time era that the PS3, 360, the PS4, Xbox One, and all that. The Wii was very successful as well. The Wii U, that was a powerful system compared to what Nintendo did before, but there was other miscues. I don't think power was necessarily the problem with that. It was more of architecture and getting certain games to come over just because of the way that the programming was on the system. I think the biggest thing that Nintendo has addressed when it comes to the whole power thing is their architecture. They're using Tegra. They're using something that's known. It's standard. The ARM CPU, the Tegra chip, it's been around and was pretty much the strongest mobile chip that they can use at the time that they were developing this system. The Tegra X1 processor came out in 2015. Obviously, by the time that you're reaching a console as far as what you need to do, you need to have things wrapped up as far as what you're going to do by at least a year or two before that system drops. For example, like the PS4 came out in 2013. It's using a graphics equivalent of a card from 2011. All right. So that's the thing that I want to say here, is that power is important, but I think power with the architecture is important. Obviously, you need to have enough juice, but you also have to have the architecture. But I think the Nintendo Switch somewhat gets a pass when it comes to these things, because the Nintendo Switch is a hybrid device. You can play it anywhere. For example, if you compare it to the PS Vita or to the Nintendo 3DS, it absolutely smokes those systems by a lot. It's almost like nothing that we've seen before when it comes to it. So I think that the power is important because it's portability, and the power that you can play games from anywhere that you want. That's just pure power, right? That's raw power. Obviously, you couldn't do that if you had a 3DS or if you had a PS Vita. So I do think that it's important, but I think that it just has just enough power, and I think that it has the architecture and it has the ease of development. So developers can put their games on the Nintendo Switch, and it's not going to be like breaking your leg or something like that to get the game on there. Although it's going to be tough, I mean, but it's not going to be like it was with the Nintendo Wii U, where just some engines just weren't compatible or just weren't supported at all. For example, like Unreal Engine 4. So I think that going forward with Nintendo, because he talked about the future, I think that is the future. I think this is the area where Nintendo is actually ahead of the competition. And I've talked about this before. Nintendo is actually ahead because I think eventually everyone's going to want to have some type of device that you can take anywhere. Even if they have a normal set-top console at home, they're going to want something that you can say, hey, you can take this and you can play your games anywhere that you want. I kind of equate it to the cell phones and tablets. I mean, people still got PCs, right? People still got big PCs, but people got tablets. People got cell phones because they want to be able to have access to their content anywhere that you want. Well, why wouldn't you want the same thing with video games? It seems like some people have this mental block in their mind that they can't do this with video games, but I feel that you can, and I think that people will eventually all move to that. Now, if you're looking at the sales of Nintendo Switch, despite having way less software than the PS4 and Xbox One, it's holding its own, outselling it at times. The pace in terms of what its sales pace is at is actually faster than the Wii and the PS4. So when you look at all that, it's like, yeah, people are buying this because of Nintendo software. People are buying it because you can play games anywhere that you want, and that is very important to people, just like it's very important for people to access entertainment anywhere they want with their cell phones or with tablets. Those are all very important, but they can all coincide, and I think that's the biggest thing here. Tablets can coincide with desktop PCs. Desktop PCs can coincide with cell phones. Everyone can work together. It's not something to where it's like pitted against each other every single time. We can have a Nintendo Switch that's not as strong and also have a PS4 and Xbox One that does other things and vice versa. So I think that's kind of where I see it at. I feel that power is important, but I think that the innovation and what they brought to the table, that's also important too. And Nintendo has struck the right balance, even if it's just barely, across all different thresholds here. So what do you guys think about all the different topics here? I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on it. You guys always have great comments and conversation. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. Comment section below. All right, Ninja, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. Really helps us spread the content of PlayerEssence across the interwebs in addition to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon and YouTube live gaming page and consider supporting PlayerEssence. When you do so, it gets you access to all sorts of cool benefits, perks, rewards, and emotes via YouTube sponsorship. We also are an official Twitch affiliate partner as well, so make sure you check out our Twitch too. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future, and subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next video. Peace.